So these are my words now, all of them. So Mercedes, hello. So first up, I feel so lucky that this is my job to flap about stories and offer much deserved praise to new literary artists. I really just want to thank all the students for making that a thing. Okay, so now for Mercedes. She and I have a lot in common with our writing. We both write about girlhood, the pressures of family and faith on shaping identity and perceptions of oneself in a larger, even colder world. We both like witches and magic and stories about lesbians being cute together. Our aesthetics are certainly similar. However, our personal understandings of some of those concepts can differ greatly. In her thesis, titled Flores de Luna, Mercedes has a scene where a girl experiences her first menstrual cycle and believes she is going to die. I immediately challenged her by asking, what kind of girl born in the 2000s is surprised by her period? I was in middle school in the 90s, and I knew how babies were born and the basic workings of the human body when I was 8. It all seemed horrific, and worst of it far away in time, but still not surprising. And she said, it can happen. Very different perspectives. I was raised in a Southern Baptist household and went to Sunday school every week until I was 21 or so. And I figured I understood, Christianity. Well, Mercedes' protagonist, Marcella, has a diary full of queer musings that is discovered by a disapproving mother. And as punishment, the mother drags Marcella to a church where she is assaulted by a gang of rabid nuns in the name of, I don't know, God. I was shocked. So in the margins, I wrote, is that Catholicism? Very different perspectives. So whether I'm in stunned disbelief of the action or not, Mercedes draws lovely lines with her language around what it means to feel the isolation of desire when there is a familial void of affection. I understand that, and I have no notes. She writes the feminine experience of growing up through depictions of the physical body, one that is angst-heavy, fragile, beaten, bloody, gifted, cursed, and worshipped. And on that, we are in total agreement. So let's welcome Mercedes Espino and the world of Flores de Luna.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. I also want to say I'm so happy to be here with my other classmates reading today. And time is moving by so fast. I felt like I just moved here, and now I'm in front of you reading my thesis. Slow down. But before I read my thesis, I want to give my gratitude and appreciation to my thesis committee, Venita, Stephen, and Virginia. Thank you so much for that introduction, Venita. And I will carry the bragging rights for having you as my thesis chair forever. Thank you, Stephen, for agreeing to be on my committee, even though I feel like I asked you pretty late. And I'm so happy to be taking your class. And Virginia, there you are. Your enthusiasm and mentorship is invaluable to me and gave me that push when I felt overwhelmed with my thesis. Thank you. I also want to give a quick shout out to my family and friends for being here. It's so nice to have so many familiar faces out there because when you're up here, out of anxiety. So just a quick little summary about my thesis, Los Flores de Luna. It's about Marcela and her experience with growing up in a household full of witches. So it's generational, and it talks about the experience of porqueria, familiar relationships, maternal relationships with self, grief, mental health, a lot of other things that Venita said that I probably won't get to in this tonight. But I want to try reading chapter 2, and if I have time, chapter 3. So. Scroll too far. 2. Cuentos y espíritus. My mother and I should also mention that this part of the story starts when she moved in with her grandmother. Her grandmother is Mama Calu, and her mom is Reina, and the main character is Marcela, just for clarification. My mother and I went to live with Mama Calu in her apartment across town, a new place high from the ground where a bronze lady in an oil lamp would light the dark near the wide window. The window's thin glass bared the world of green, framed by a cracked sill. Inside, a collage of worn-out brown tones and leather furniture smelled encerado and felt strange with the shadowy voices that mingled with the chismosas. A cacophony of people and spirits. Their whispers found their way past doors and harbored within the thin, poorly built walls. He's with another woman again. You know that, don't you? Reina, no te vayas, Reina. Yo, that family's so weird and messed up. Esteban, ya cállate. We're on the first floor. They can hear you. Marcela, can't see me like you. Why is that? Limpiar, limpiar mejor. Too much dust, too much salt, too many spirits. Claudia, Claudia, you unfortunate one. Claudia la triste, tu sonrisa es tan triste. Mama Kalu's apartment became my new world until I turned 13. 4 years of magic, but the rest was a nightmare. In the way I had Papi, I had Mama Kalu. Mom was in and out. We had our good days and we had days apart. We didn't spend enough time together to have bad days, and even when my grades weren't good, my mom's response was not to buy me any sweets. Mama Kalu would later tell me how mom met someone, and they were dating seriously. I wasn't into romance, so I didn't care about the details because she picked him. My mother chose to spend her time with him and not with me. I didn't like her new boyfriend. Nope, not one bit. In mom's absence, spirits lingered, drawn to Mama Kalu like I was compelled to stare at the bronze goddess in her lamp or the full moon. Long past ancestors, other ghosts, and random strangers would appear, and Mama Kalu chatted away no matter who dropped by. She pretended they weren't there when Mom was around unless it was a living person. Mom would make quick and polite small talk, but would get upset with Mama Kalu for having strangers in the house again. In the precious moments I had Mama Kalu to myself, I told her about the shadows at the end of the hall, the feeling of invisible eyes on my back, and the grayness, but that was it. I didn't have her sight. Mama Kalu just chuckled and said, they can't hurt me, only scare me. I got used to their invisible presence. It turns out ghosts are less scary than real people. I didn't know if Mama Kalu was speaking to me most of the time unless she yelled, Marcelita Chulita, to get my attention. Her bob of wild auburn red curls framed her twinkling yet hollow brown eyes, a smattering of freckles and garnet lips parted between a strange smile and an airy laugh. Mama Kalu always had a necklace with 3 gems, silver hoops, rings, and charmed bracelets when she hosted her living and deceased guests. The frilly baby blue apron she wore every day was tied tightly around her short and rounded body when she cooked, blessed the house, picked me up from my new school, or took me to LA. I was just an 11-year-old girl. I wanted to be beautiful, but I was changing. I gained weight in my hips and chest. I outgrew my clothes and ballet costumes. I had hair in places that freaked me out and BO that made me take so many hot showers my skin cracked. Being at school taught me I couldn't afford the right clothes, that nobody liked nerds and boys were annoying. Ballet taught me about perfection and mean girls, but I also began to feel something for a friend. Adeline in my ballet class. It was kind of how my classmate Eddie kept talking about Samantha. Samantha was pretty and smart, but Adeline's smile made my heart flutter. Adeline didn't care about her movements weren't precisely what Madame Camille wanted, or if she messed up. She laughed. I was impressed. I admired her courage when the other dancers sneered and rolled their eyes. I liked the way she tied her ballet shoes. So I got the courage to ask her about how she tied her shoes and to show me she tied my shoes for me. The feeling of her nimble fingers around my ankle made my chest burst with warmth. I didn't have the word for it then. My crush. That's how I felt about Adeline. I only did ballet to make my mother happy, but I didn't mind because I got to see her. The garden was gone, but I found my magical way in other places. Mama Kalu's apartment was a station of revolving bodies and the dead, especially during Dia de los Muertos. But the season bent the perception of reality. We weren't the weird ones then. The whole neighborhood loved our apartment on Halloween. Mama Kalu would decorate the sad brown colors with red cloths, yellow pillows, pine candles, green wreaths, and cempasúchil, with vases of white carnations, sunset roses, and stalk flowers in every room. The apartment smelled of cinnamon, cypress, rain, and fresh bread from the ofrenda. On the outside, we put cotton webs, skeletons, and pumpkins on the porch and along the stairs leading to our apartment. We put fake blood on the window, hung bats and sheets with black eyes. Mama Kalu said it made the young ones laugh, but the older spirits were offended. During school breaks, we would spend hours at the library, grab pan dulce from the panaderia, and window shop downtown. She brewed pasta with hot cocoa in the morning and canela before bed. On the nights my mother would be gone, as she was most of the time, I would stay up past my bedtime with a cobalt wine glass decorated with esoteric stars and fill it to the brim with cold water. I mirrored Mama Kalu's ritual of lighting candles on her altar with a different way of connecting with my magic. I placed one of her special cobalt wine glasses under the full moon on the window ledge and clasped my hands together. Then I squeezed my eyes closed, scrunched my nose, and made a wish. In the morning, I drink the special moon water and wait for something magical to happen. I waited, but even if I was disappointed, it didn't matter because I loved the ritual of it. Some evenings, after watching the Food Channel and doing homework, Mama Gali would tell me magical and wondrous stories about the brujas in our family, how our maternal bloodline was connected to wild magic, the kind of wild touched by the sun, found in the elements, and nurtured by the moon. All her stories would begin with, in the desert that was once an ocean, there was a witch. Actual witches, in my family. She said Flores de Luna women were given gifts and could do strange things with their powers. Mama Galu's abuelita could manipulate the wind, and Tia could predict the weather, and one of her primas could see auras. I knew Mama Galu could see the dead. I asked her if she knew what my gift was. Well, mi chulita, I don't know what your gift is yet, but my guides whisper that you might be just like me. What do you mean, Mama Galu? You know I can't see dead people. No, hija, a healer. You have a healer's hands, but for some reason your gift hasn't woken up yet. So who knows if you'll be like me? I hope you'll do something else. Be something different. I don't think she meant the magic. I don't think she meant my path as a witch, but to be something else was to be the kind of healer that wouldn't let the people you love hurt you. I don't think Mama Kalu hated her power, or what happened to her because of it. Mama Kalu never told me the details, and I never asked. I wish I did. But I do want to be like you. I want to do magic. I want to be magic. Someday, mija, someday. Ni modo. I didn't have the time to train Rena the way I wish I did. She was never interested anyway, and things happened so fast after I married your papi, and changed so much when we divorced. Times were different with my mother. I think your mama was about your age too when she gave up the path. I squeezed in beside her on her favorite comfy lounge chair and replied, Mama Gali, what was my mom's gift? Let's see. If I remember, she used to have visions, no, prophetic dreams, but they scared her as a child. She said she hated to dream and took sleeping pills every night, and one day she woke up and didn't have the gift anymore. At least, I don't think so. So why can't you teach me? I hugged her soft hand to my face, and a waft of her delicate primrose fragrance rose from her skin. Mama Kala pinched my cheeks gently, and charms bracelets jingled in my ears. I need to do that. I don't remember much like I used to, only things out of habit. But even if I could, I don't think your mama would like that. Why does that matter? She's barely here, and I won't tell her. I promise. I took her right hand and hooked our fingers to swear a pinky promise. Lo siento, mija, pero no puedo. No pinky promise this time. I don't think I could teach you. Even if we kept it a secret from your mother, it wouldn't be right, and I don't have the book. I don't think I'd be a good teacher anyway. That didn't stop me. I wanted to know magic, so I asked her so many questions a preteen could think of until we missed dinner. Things about magic ceremonies and mystical spells, but she just laughed and said it wasn't like the movies. Magic was the wooden spoon and the caldito de pollo, the long-awaited hug, the drizzle of chocolate on something sweet, our desires, tears, wrath, love, strength, and the very words from our lips. I had no idea what she was talking about at the time, but it sounded wonderful. She said intention was key. In our magic, intention was everything, but not if you don't have faith. Even as a kid, it was never an issue of faith. I knew you could pray to God, talk to Jesus, and cleanse the space with Palo Santo because Mama Kalu proved you could be a witch and religious. Still, I dozed off in church when the priest spoke to the congregation about some passage of scripture. Even though I was baptized, religion never appealed to me like spirituality, but that would come much later in my life. Mama Kalu said our Libro de Familia, the Hechizos, or Book of Shadows, is similar to a Bible, which held all our stories, secrets, spells, and magic, but the book was lost. Even without it, as brujas, we knew instinctively that our magical inheritance was from nature herself. It held commune with the divine. The legacy of our craft was dying. Maybe it was because Mom didn't want her gift or magic that it affected me somehow. That the magic was born inside me, that the magic was broken inside me. Maybe it was the reason my powers hadn't awakened. I wondered why she kept a book of love spells. If she didn't want to be a witch, it didn't make sense. Why didn't my mom want to tell me about the magic or teach me? Why didn't she want anything to do with her magic? What was so bad about magic that she turned her back and forced me to do the same? Why couldn't she see I was meant to walk on the path of our craft? I couldn't ignore the pool. I didn't want to. Sometimes I knew who was calling on Mama Kalu's mobile. Other times, when kids at school asked me to guess which color pencil they had behind their backs, I could guess the right color, but I didn't have Mama Kalu's magical insight. I could only mimic her, be a sad imitation when I put rose thorns in antique perfume bottles or hung flowers to dry. I could never make special tea, healing bath, or anything magical like Mama Kalu could. That didn't dissuade me though. I would always be a silly little moonstruck kid who looked for the magic in every day and I wrote about it in my diary, a journal, a sketchbook, my own book of shadows where I could write my thoughts and magical secrets because it made me miserable to wonder if I would ever become a real witch. A witch worthy of the stories Mama Kandu told me, a worthy descendant of the bloodline, but I just felt like a fake.